everybody, and welcome to Ferret Business Casual. First of all, about the name, a group of ferrets is called a business, so that's a pun. You can have that one for free. Today I just wanted to introduce myself and the girls. I'm Cassidy, mother of ferrets, and I have 3 feisty ferret girls that you will get to meet later. I decided when I was 15 that I wanted a ferret, and so I asked my mom if I could have one, and she sent me to the library. Because every time I wanted any sort of animal, she always sent me to the library. For instance, I know a lot about iguanas. I've never owned an iguana because after doing the research, I realized I didn't want an iguana. So after I got the research done, it was time to get a cage. I got a hand-me-down cage from my aunt who had ferrets, and that cage actually sat in my room with a stuffed ferret in it for months before I finally got my first ferret. Now my first ferret's name was Emma. She was a tiny, tiny little sable female. Her name was Emma Lee, and she loved to ride around on a boat during bath time, and I absolutely loved her. She was kind of a rescue. I got her from some friends of my cousin who could no longer afford to feed her a good ferret diet and had been feeding her soda crackers, which was really bad for her. And she was the sweetest little thing. Eventually she got lymphoma and we had to have her euthanized, and it was heartbreaking, but she was just the perfect ferret for her first ferret. She was great. So then I got Arwen and Hermione because I'm a huge nerd, and at this point I was probably 17 and my mother had agreed to take care of them once I went away to college. However, some unforeseen circumstances happened with my family and that was not a possibility. So we took them to this really great ferret-specific rescue, which is what I suggest doing if you have a ferret that you need to rehome, because they know ferrets. If you take them to a cat or dog rescue, they may or may not know how to take care of them properly, but if you take them to a ferret-specific rescue, they're going to take care of them, they're going to socialize them, and they're going to find them new homes, and also they usually understand that you can't split up bonded pairs. More on that later. So fast forward, I went to college, I graduated, I fell in love, I got married. And then I decided that I wanted to get ferrets again. And so I asked my husband and he said yes. And I got Zoe and Percy off of Craigslist, which is where I've gotten all of my ferrets since I've been an adult. And then almost immediately after getting them, I got pregnant. So, surprise! Now, I'm going to put a little bit of a content warning in here because things are going to get tragic. Not for my ferrets, but just in general. Tragedy is about to occur. So, I had the ferrets, I was pregnant, and a lot of people expected me to get rid of the ferrets because I was pregnant, because, here comes the tragedy, fast forward if you don't want to hear it. There was a news story where somewhere nearby where I live, a ferret had chewed the fingers off of a baby. This did actually happen, but I feel like there's a lot more to that story because I've spent a lot of time with ferrets, and I feel like if it chewed the fingers off of a baby, first of all, it wasn't being supervised, their house was not truly ferret proof, and also that ferret was probably starving. Because they aren't rodents and they don't tend to just gnaw on things. So, but I did not get rid of my ferrets. I kept my ferrets, and my daughter has been raised with the ferrets, and so far nothing awful has happened. Eventually Zoe passed away. It was very sudden. It was one day she seemed like she wasn't feeling very well, and but it didn't seem urgent, and then the next day she was dead. So that's when I realized that I had this really good bonded relationship with Zoe and I didn't have it with Percy. And so Percy was now the surviving half of a bonded pair that wasn't really bonded to me. So I spent a while bonding with Percy, and it was hard because he was kind of a biter. But we did overcome that, and eventually we got very bonded. And then once I felt like we had a pretty good bond going on, I got Lily and Lyra to keep him company, because I didn't ever want to have to go through that again, having one half of a bonded pair just mourning by themselves. So I've decided to always keep them in groups of 3. I was all prepared for it to take forever for everybody to learn to get along, but it was as soon as I introduced them, they were all thick as thieves. Ferrets thieve things a lot. And then sadly, Percy got lymphoma, which is the same thing that Emma had. He fought it a lot longer than Emma did. We gave him the best treatment we could until me and my vet made the decision that his quality of life just wasn't good, and we had to have him euthanized, and it was very sad. But since Lily and Lyra still had each other, it wasn't quite as sad. Then after a suitable mourning period, I went and got Charlie again off of Craigslist. She was supposed to be a boy. The ad said she was a boy. I talked to the woman that I was getting her from, said she was a boy. My husband wanted to name her Charlie. I said that was fine. Went to go pick her up, and I looked at her little face and I was like, you look like a girl. But I didn't want to, question these people in this McDonald's parking lot. So I just, finished out the sketchy transaction and brought her home. And as soon as I brought her home, I got her out of the carrier, I turned her over, and sure enough, she was a girl, and we decided to keep her name Charlie anyway. So Charlie Rose. That way, she's got a little femininity to it. But if you have a ferret and you turn it over and it has a belly button, that's not a belly button, it's a penis. So if there's no belly button, then it's a girl, because it's not a belly button, it's a penis. So that brings us to our present business, Lily, Lyra, and Charlie. And without further ado, enough of me talking about ferrets, let's go meet them. Here are the girls. Hello, girls. Hello. Hello. This is Lily. She may look like a little baby, but she is full grown. Right now they've all got their super fluffy winter coats on, which is just great, because it is cold here where we live, isn't it, sweetheart? And this is Lyra. Hi, Lyra. She doesn't like pets quite as much as Lily does, but she'll tolerate me. And this little sleepy bug, this little sleepy potato head, is Charlie. Hello, Charlie. Oh. And Lyra just fell out of the cage. I'm sorry. Are you okay? You okay? She fell. She fell. Yeah, Charlie, we're still working on bonding with Charlie. So anyway, thank you for joining us on this first episode of Ferret Business Casual. We enjoyed meeting you. I hope you enjoyed meeting the girls. If you have any ferret questions, let me know down below in the comments. And remember to subscribe, share, and what do you think, Lily? What do you think, Lily? So that's going to be all for Ferret Business Casual. I hope you enjoyed meeting us all. If you have any ferret related questions, let me know down in the comments, and subscribe, and tell any of your ferret friends, and keep it casual.